everybody. Before we jump into today's episode, we have two sponsors we want to say thank you to for supporting this show. The first one is Routine. You guys have heard me talk about Routine, honestly, back from the early days of the podcast, and it's still a product I use every single morning. They have a prompt for me here. I'm going to do a little impromptu on this ad read today because honestly, this is a product that I truly believe in. And so I'm just going to tell you guys exactly what I think and why. First and foremost, this is a stat that they shared, but when you sleep, you lose between a pound and a half of water. And most of that's just sweating while you sleep. I used to not know if that was actually true, to be honest. I felt like a pound to a pound and a half of water seemed like quite a bit while I slept. But the one thing I did constantly pay attention to when I started using Routine was just the fact that before using Routine, I always felt a little dehydrated in the morning. And I'm one of those people that when I get up really early usually. I work out. One of the first things I do is some form of fitness. It's just like what I do before everyone's awake. And so it's very easy for me to grab a coffee, pre-workout, an energy drink, something with caffeine in it, and just go. When I am good about using Routine, first, I basically they come in these little single serve packets. They contain half an organic lemon, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, all 6 essential electrolytes, and they have no sugar in them at all. A lot of hydration products are going to have sugar. So one of the things about Routine that I love is that there's no sugar in there. So when I am good about doing this consistently, I will take one of those single serve packets, I'll throw it in my mixer bottle, and whether I also put in a pre-workout or something with caffeine or I just drink that separately, I try to drink that first. And the days I do that, I do genuinely feel hydrated and just have a different form of clarity all morning. A lot of people have tried to make their own homemade versions of Routine, right? You see people they take a shot of the apple cider vinegar, they put a little sea salt, a little lemon in a drink. This is essentially that, but in a product that you can take with you on the go, have it ready for you first thing in the morning. I know me personally, when I'm groggy rolling out of bed, the last thing I want to do is, squeeze a lemon, cut lemons up, go get the apple cider vinegar, find my sea salt. I just rip this packet open, throw it in my water, drink it, and it's good to go. You can try yours today. If you haven't tried it yet and you've been listening to this podcast for years, just try the damn Routine. Give it a shot. You can use code ShaneWhite30 and get 30% off your first order. So you get 30% off by using code ShaneWhite30 and go to yourroutine.com. To make it even easier, I've added the link to yourroutine.com in the show notes. So just click on the show notes for this episode, click on the link to yourroutine.com, and don't forget to use code ShaneWhite30. All right, guys, today's episode is also brought to you by NeuroRoast. Again, I'm going to go a little off script here. NeuroRoast is a product that I also came across during this year of 2023. They are a coffee company that's helping you optimize your brain function and overall well-being. This is another product that, to be honest with you, when I first started working with it, I was a little on the fence. I was like, do I really want to have mushrooms in my coffee? Well, folks, I will tell you, when I use NeuroRoast, one of the things that has stood out to me the most is I'll back up. People that know me know that I have way too much caffeine, typically. One of the things this year I've done a good job of is cutting out alcohol. Not completely, but predominantly, I don't touch a lot of alcohol anymore. What I think I've actually done the other way, though, is add a lot more caffeine. So I do definitely drink too much caffeine. That's something I need to work on next year, is to try to minimize how much of that. But NeuroRoast is something that has actually helped me. Because of the way they've formulated their coffee, like unlike regular coffee, which is, still something I consume, but NeuroRoast specifically doesn't cause jitters or crashes. Mushroom coffee provides more balance and sustained energy, allowing you to stay focused and productive throughout the day. So the times I do use NeuroRoast, I'll be honest, I just don't feel that jittery, like, I'm jumping out of my chair or standing here at my desk, jumping around feeling. So give NeuroRoast a try. They have some really good flavors. I'll be honest too, the two guys that started NeuroRoast are just really good dudes based out of New York, and they're hustling, and hopefully they can get some people to try NeuroRoast this holiday season by listening to this podcast. So for you folks who've been on the fence, I'm telling you, it tastes delicious. They've done a fantastic job of making this coffee not only be functional, but taste fantastic. And if you want to try NeuroRoast, you can use code ShaneWhite. So it's super simple, just ShaneWhite at checkout. you'll also get 30% off. So if you go to neuroroast.com, and once again, I have added that to the show notes. So just click into the show notes while you're listening to this episode. You can click on NeuroRoast link directly. Don't forget to use code just Shane White, and you'll get 30% off your order. Hope you guys love both these products. I'm trying to not only bring you guys products that I use, but that I believe in on the podcast. I'm not taking ad reads for any brands that I don't really believe in. So anyway, hope you guys love both those products, yourroutine.com and neuroroast.com. I've added those links to the show notes. I hope you guys love it. And I got an awesome guest coming up right after this. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode. We're going to dive in today to Prime Day. So today's going to be all about Prime Day. This is going to come out here like right before the end of April. So we thought it'd be timely as we're honestly like heads down already, which sounds crazy on Prime Day. We wanted to just kind of dive into a little bit of a kind of a 101, but just a little bit more of what's changing this year, a little bit. And then also just how we think about Prime Day. As for most brands on Amazon, this is the Super Bowl. And so per usual, the Super Bowl, we're prepping way in advance for us. Kyle, I'll kick it to you. Let you riff a little bit on some of the things that you're focused on right now, and then I can wrap it up with deals and what we're thinking about from advertising.
Yeah, let's do it. So I think let's assume everyone who's listening to this knows what Prime Day is. One of the big questions that we get, or conversations that we always have with brands, is, is Prime Day profitable after the discount, the advertising push? And I think, obviously it's brand to brand, whether or not it's profitable based on your unit economics. But our number one goal for Prime Day is shifting baselines post Prime Day. The number two goal is performance during the event. And there's a very...
And Kyle, probably to break that down for people, what does that mean? So it means months after Prime Day, what are we looking for?
Yeah, so visually, like, let's say our baseline sales are here. We want July with Prime Day to be here, and we want to reset baselines, about here. So you're essentially driving trial during Prime Day in hopes that those customers then become lifetime customers in the months that follow. Should also see a pretty decent jump in subscription figures as well. That's pretty consistent across all the brands we work with. So we approach it as a marketing event. Now, that doesn't mean we are willy-nilly spending advertising dollars like drunken sailors, but we need to take advantage of the days where Amazon has the most traffic on site over any other event during the year. So what that means for us and what we're working on right now is inventory and demand planning prep, right? So Amazon is incredibly backed up from here on until right before Prime Day, and then even right after Prime Day. So we need to make sure inventory is on the road to Amazon for them to receive it in time to sell it. And then we're also working on promo structure. So it's crazy. We're sitting here, we're having this conversation in the middle of April, and we've been working on Prime Day prep already for 3 weeks. So
yeah, I was gonna say,
it seems like every single year we start this prep earlier and earlier in the year, but it's what's necessary. And because this is the Super Bowl of events, that's what's required. But I'll kick it over to you to talk through some of the promo changes this year, because with the one of the big changes in 2025 is being that Prime Day is going to be 4 days versus 2. And then along with the promotion changes.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for people listening is I would say two things. If you've ever been a part of Prime Day as a seller, or if you've ever shopped as a consumer, even, this will be cool for you. They're changing the deal structures a little bit, and they're also changing the depths they're recommending. So typically, basically as far back as I've been involved with Prime Day, 30% off was the bar to get a lot of additional placement. So think bigger brands that are getting banner placement on Amazon.com homepages, for example. If they wanted that, they had to at least run 30% off. So 30% was really the floor. They're changing that to be 40% this year. So really, honestly, for people listening, if you're a seller, the biggest thing is it got more expensive in theory. Like the items you're selling on Prime Day, if you want that top tier placement, just got 10% from a discount perspective, more expensive.
Now, on the flip side, as a consumer, though, that means there's probably going to be even some steeper deals this year than you've seen in the past. So, kind of a cool thing for consumers to try new things, which is obviously great for sellers. Um, the second, if not the biggest thing, though, is that they're now saying instead of 2 days, which has always been, it's going to be 4 days. So they also doubled the time frame. I think the 4 days is honestly for Kyle and I, as folks working with brands on Amazon as sellers, I think that's the biggest curveball that they pitched this year because the depth, there's always going to be brands that run different depths, and that's part of the equation we're trying to figure out. But the length of 2 more days is going to be really interesting. And the reason for that is it's hard to say how many brands are going to partake in the full 4 days. So our brand's going to lean in really heavy at the beginning and then potentially, either cancel deals or change deals later on in the week. Our brand's just going to lean in and say, screw it. Like, we've already done it for 2 days in the past. Let's just extend it 2 more days and see how much trial we can drive. So there's going to be a little bit of, I would say, like there's going to be a little of chess playing between brands that are really trying to make a dent into Prime Day. And then I think as far as for sellers who are thinking about how to frame this up, just make sure you're really running the numbers beforehand. Because the other thing, which transparently for everyone listening, we're still diving in and trying to make sure we fully have a 100% understanding of the changes because some of the communication that's come out has been a little confusing, the way they're wording it. But essentially, whenever you run Prime Day deals, there's usually like a fee. So like to actually run the deal costs, in the past it's been $50 to $1,000 depending on the type of deal. I know for sure that those deals they got more expensive. So for at least Prime exclusive deals, those went from $50 to $100. Best deals are staying the same. Lightning deals are staying the same. So at least one type got more expensive. The bigger thing too is Amazon and coupons is changing just the math a little bit, and it's going to be more performance driven. So we'll probably do a whole nother episode on that one because that's going to change coupons for the long run. But all of that to say, Prime Day is now double as long, and it's also going to be more expensive. So the way to think about it, all of that goes back to what Kyle was explaining, which is it's very easy in the micro to focus on the economics and say, hey, this is maybe too expensive or this isn't something we want to partake in. But really, for long term growth and a long-term healthy business on Amazon. The way Kyle and I have always thought about Prime Day is it's a day to drive trial. You essentially want to do whatever you can. There's so many eyeballs on site. Amazon is paying exorbitant amounts of marketing dollars to get people to come to Amazon on Prime Day. So it's more of an opportunity of looking at where has your business been before Prime Day? How big of a splash can you make on Prime Day? But ultimately, what really matters is the months following Prime Day. What happened to your business? Did it change for the better? Kyle and I could probably talk, we could talk for another 30 minutes on that, but that's really at the highest level. So, thinking about the microeconomics of the day, like how much can you spend on advertising? How much are you willing to potentially lose if you're going heavy in whether it's trade, advertising, both? Um, and then ultimately, one of the key things with Prime Day that Kyle and I spent a lot of time thinking about, and Kyle can dive into this if we want to go further, Kyle, but post Prime Day, making sure all of this hard work that and honestly, like financial sacrifice you could be making around Prime Day is worthwhile and you're in stock post Prime Day. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that brands miss.
Yeah, I won't give full strategy away here, but
Of
the
course.
two other things I would mention. First and foremost, what we're noticing as we're preparing inventory and getting FBA shipments placed is Amazon seems to be doing this very odd, very frustrating thing where they're actually not allowing brands to ship in inventory, even though they have plenty of FBA capacity. And the message that we keep getting is that, hey, if you want to ship this in, you got to go through AWD. Won't go down the rabbit hole, but my recommendation would be if start your FBA shipments as soon as possible
Yeah.
because solving that issue through a case ticket is a laughable process. So that's number one. Number two, I would say is I'm gonna blank maybe on number two. Maybe it was just the one thing.
Yeah, major number one then. Number two is probably more around post Prime Day volume, but I agree. That's probably something, to be honest. If you have tons of questions on that, that's a good one to reach out to us, and we can probably go in more depth with you because there's a lot of
Yeah,
nuance to that process too.
I mean, post Prime Day, it's whatever you think you're going to sell from now till Prime Day plus 3 or 4 weeks, because you're not going to be wanting to try to get a truck to get checked in the week after Prime Day, because every single seller is going to be trying to replenish inventory that they sold during Prime Day. So it's just like your shipments now should probably last you till about August, to be honest.
Yeah. Which that one, I mean, that's a tough one for brands. I know you and I spend a lot of time talking to our brands about that, but it's a lot of inventory to float. So a tough part of the equation. But yeah, we're excited. I mean, I think getting deeper and going longer on Prime Day is gonna be interesting this year. I would argue, you tell me, you've been a part, which is funny. Anyone listening to this who doesn't know this, Kyle's been a part of every single Prime Day since Prime Day became a thing. So he's ancient, is basically what I'm saying. And but I think this probably the biggest change this is the biggest one I ever remember, like from a
I
like
mean, with
depth
the
and length.
exception of just the biggest change was them adding Fall Prime Day, right?
Oh, for sure,
Which
that's
was
true.
COVID, and then them being
Yeah.
like, "Well, let's just do two." Um, yeah, I mean, the 4 day thing is it's crazy between the coupon changes, the discount depth. Now it's 4 days. The pro to that is you have 2 more days to drive trial and advertise, but the con is so you took your two most condensed days of planning, advertising spend, social media. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Not to cut myself off.
Yeah, go for it. No, go for it.
For all brands who are listening, with the exception of any retail relationship that you have to nourish and basically, not piss off this retailer by being 30 to 40% on Amazon, please post on LinkedIn, post on your social media, send an email to all of your direct to consumer brands or direct to consumer customers. We see such a massive difference in performance in brands that lean into the fact that they're on Prime Day versus brands that try to hide it.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
So just be loud and proud about being a part of
Yeah.
Prime Day if you want it to
Of
be the
course.
biggest splash. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we can, I mean, we have data to support that too. That's not even anecdotal. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, hopefully we sound excited about Prime Day. We probably sound, I would assume the voices we're giving off today is probably like stressful a little bit because we have it's a what, dude? It's like a quarter of our year that I feel like it's absorbed
Yeah.
to Prime Day, and then advertising and like the days of Prime Day are
Yeah.
long days for you and me. We're just up
It's
early, up late.
yeah. It's
There's lots going on.
two more very long days, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. It's
A
great.
final shout out though for everybody. If you see great deals on Prime Day, please tag us on LinkedIn. I think it'd be cool to like actually get some cool deals shared, and we could maybe do some sort of post that gets people talking about it.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll be back next week.
See you guys.